diet, you're only really inviting those chronic illnesses that you keep hearing about.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah.
A serious reality check. Because if Angela keeps this diet up, she could well join the estimated 250,000 Kiwis who are currently diabetic. Here at Middlemore Hospital in South Auckland, they're dealing with the fallout. 580 people are now hooked up to have their blood cleaned and purified by dialysis machines. And the rate of admission is going up by 10% a year, which roughly matches the national statistics. I'm meeting the clinical head of diabetes, Dr. Brandon Orr-Walker. Brandon, this looks expensive.
Yeah, no, dialysis is a very, very expensive business. The machines, the very high requirements of stuff. It's somewhere in the order of $50,000 to $100,000 per year per person.
Per year?
And that's the dialysis costs. Many of these patients, because of their kidney disease, for those that have got diabetes and other problems, have additional costs to do with the poor blood flow to their feet, problems with their heart, vision and so forth. And so there'll be other direct health costs. But even above that, there is the cost that many of these people are people who could be working, who are now having to interrupt their lives to be stuck on a machine. So it has indirect costs which are far, far greater. It's a huge burden on the health system.
So like fundamentally right now, there may well be millions of dollars of health costs just in this room.
Absolutely.
Just now.
Absolutely. Useful.
Māori and Pacifica are most prone to this disease. It's affecting young and old and is largely obesity related. What's your view about the connection between sugar and obesity and diabetes and all these health problems?
Oh, there's a very clear link between sugar consumption and carbohydrate consumption and diabetes at a population level.
Early intervention could have made the difference, but instead, Middlemore is landed with the high cost of intensive care after the fact. As a clinician, as someone who works with this stuff, how should we, as the general public, think about sugar in our diet?
The simplest of those really is to reduce sugary intake, and the simplest to identify that adds no other nutritional value would be to reduce the consumption of sugary beverages. Are you having much pain in your foot from the operation?
No.
No? So Nigel, Mr. Chan's a patient similar to those we often see in hospital who's got a lot of complications from his diabetes.
Those complications resulted in infections and amputation of his big toe.
But he's also got other complications. He's got some difficulty with his eyes and his kidneys and his nerves.
What do you think caused your diabetes?
Well, in fact, I was taking too much sugar. That's what it happened to me.
Even though I've got a family history of diabetes, you know, to me was, oh, Mum's taking her pills, Dad's taking his.
Marilyn is 53. She's had diabetes for 20 years and has a long list of related complications.
My retinal have come away from the walls. I've got cataracts forming in both eyes. Yeah, I've had a stent put in.
In your
It
heart?
was last year, yeah.
Coronaries? How often are you having dialysis and how much time does it take?
3 days a week I come, and I'm on 4 hours.
4 hours
for
each
each of
time.
those times that I come.
What things now, you know, if you had your time again, would have made a difference for you, do you think?
My diet, eating all these sugary things that I shouldn't have been.
What sort of things were they thinking about just in any day?
I was eating a dozen apple donuts,
Truly?
truly, and eating chocolates and lollies and, you know, heaps of sugar in my cup of tea and
How many
fizzies.
teaspoons?
Teaspoons of sugar, I'd have about 4.
Marilyn, people talk about that you can get addicted to sugar, that you kind of have to have it. Did it feel like that for you when you were having lots of sugar?
I had to have my lollies, you know, the really sweet, like a packet of jelly beans. That amount of sugar is a lot. I had to have it. For me, this is what happened to me with my love of sugar.
I love sugar too, But all of this is starting to give me a few nagging doubts. What about my blood sugar levels? So I'm going to have my blood tested for good measure. Sugar is strongly implicated in the worldwide obesity explosion and obesity-related diseases. For my part, though, I reckon I'm pretty sensible about food and exercise. So just quietly, I'll be pretty confident that I'm doing all right in terms of the health stuff and the diet stuff, but I've had a blood test and I've kept a food diary for a couple of weeks. And I've come for an appointment with Dr. Mickey Willardon, the registered nutritionist, to see how I'm doing.
Well, I've got your results, Nigel.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to like what I've got to say.
Oh dear.
Actually.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's not drastically terrible deathbed stuff.
That's good.
Yeah, but actually, it's not something to be taken too lightly.
Okay.
Yeah, so the ones which I'm concerned about are in fact your triglycerides.
Because they're bad, aren't they?
They are bad, yeah.
Okay.
So...
just so you know, triglycerides are a type of fat found in the blood.
Triglycerides are a sign of excess sugar in the diet. So it just makes the blood a little bit stickier,
Yep.
which increases the risk of clotting, which can increase the risk of heart attacks.
And the bad news just keeps coming.
The recommended level from the National Heart Foundation would be that you'd have them below 1.7
Yep.
millimoles per litre, and yours are actually at 2.4.
That seems quite high.
It is actually quite high. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. You know, you look fairly fit and fairly lean, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're not at risk of inflammation and heart disease.
That was unexpected and, to be honest, quite shocking, because I thought this would just be the, oh, yep, you're great, you've got an outstanding diet, and instead I discover that actually I've got my diet and my blood results are actually quite concerning. And it's like, I'm 46, I shouldn't have concerning blood results at this point. So, yeah, like, it's suddenly become less a bit of a tally doddle, and I'm thinking, shit, I need to really seriously change some things in my diet and look at what I'm eating. It seems like everything I've been led to believe about eating may well be wrong. But why is sugar suddenly the bad guy? All of my life, I've believed that old dietary line that it's about fat. So you eat low fat, which means you eat less fat, which means you don't get fat. The low-fat revolution really took hold in the 70s and 80s as alarm grew over heart disease. The family roast with its natural saturated fats was out, and low fat was in.
When they took the fat out of the food tasted like cardboard. Food industry knew that. Had to do something. So what'd they do? Dump in the sugar.
And not just that, low fat didn't make us any thinner. In fact, just the opposite. We've got steadily fatter and unhealthier as the sugar in our diet has increased. So that's it. High sugar's out for me. Refined carbohydrates are getting the heave as well. At Nelson Hospital, they directly implicate the white stuff with another incredibly serious health risk. This time, it's the impact soft drinks and juices are having on children's dental health. I'm in the theatre with Dr. Rob Beaglehole and his team. What size problem are we dealing with here?
In terms of the number of children having their teeth extracted each year, it's a huge number. Last year, 34,000 children aged under 14 had one or multiple teeth extracted for dental reasons. And we also know that this number has been increasing year after year.
So Rob, because even to a muppet like me, that looks like this thing's gone wrong there.
Well, that's right, Nigel. What I can see here is that all of these front teeth here have holes or dental decay.
Yeah.
That these shadows here decay. What we can also see is the permanent teeth up here. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, this tooth here, which has decay into the nerve, and is black in the mouth is going to need to be extracted.
It's worse than I imagined and totally preventable.
That tooth's coming out. We heard from the parents that they admitted that they had a diet high in sugary drinks, and we know that sugary drinks is the #1 source of sugar in the New Zealand diet for children. The mother was talking about Coca-Cola in her baby bottle.
Think about people going up at a nanny state, but sometimes you actually need a nanny.
So this general anaesthetic is costing approximately $5,000 to the taxpayer.
Yeah. I guess the thing that really struck me is standing watching this, the room was full of anaesthetists, there were dentists, there were house surgeons, there were theatre nurses, there was all the kit that was in there was 3 hours worth of theatre time, and I just kept thinking, like, none of this needed to be. In the end, this little girl had 6 teeth extracted under general anaesthetic, which is a potentially dangerous procedure at the best of times. What implications does it have if you lose 6 teeth?
Well, she's going to have eating problems, she's going to have aesthetic problems, socialising problems, and also, unfortunately, she's going to have major orthodontic issues, which is going to involve complex orthodontic treatment later down to try and move the teeth around.
And as I soon learned, she was just one of several treated by Rob and his team today.
How old is this child again?
She's just turned 2.
Just turned 2. On these front 4 teeth, there's actually no tooth surface left. All we can see is roots. So this child has been in a lot of pain.
So this literally, the soft drink has dissolved the tooth to the gum line.
To such an extent, and it may have only taken about 6 months for this to happen. But we can see that the nerve is actually bleeding. I haven't even started yet.
As a parent, this is excruciating to watch.
Look at that infection as well.
What really smacks you in the face about all of that is that you've got a whole operating theatre full of really qualified people. That's about 5 grand's worth of theatre time, let alone the fact we could be doing other stuff with it, to pull teeth out of 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds because they're drinking too many sugary soft drinks. It's utterly preventable and it's utterly wrong. So just how much sugar goes into the soft drinks that are rotting our kids' teeth? So the likes of this one here, right, your pretty standard 1.5 litres.
Divided by 4, we get 40 teaspoons.
40 teaspoons of sugar.
Out of the 33,000 items that are sold in the average supermarket, that is the #1 selling item.
This is green. That must be good. Surely it's green. This one's worse. It's got 12.6 grams.
We get 47 teaspoons of sugar.
So this has the better part of 50, if we're going to round it up.
Almost 50 teaspoons.
47 teaspoons of sugar. And this is your standard kid's birthday party fare?
Exactly. And if we have a look at this product here, this serving size is 1 and it has 600 mils. We get 16 teaspoons of sugar.
And if a kid has it?
Then they're having 5 days worth of sugar.
So this
in
is
one hit.
5 days worth of sugar in a bottle?
Exactly.
Good God. I'm genuinely surprised by this. I had no idea. So now, I want to find out what the food industry has to say. In discovering just how much sugar we all consume, I've made some quite big changes to my own life. I've been following my nutritionist, Mickey Willardon's advice, for the last 2 months, and now I've come back to see whether that advice has had any impact on my previously dangerously high triglyceride levels. All right, Mickey, so a couple of months in,